Welcome to Your Asian Besties, a podcast where we reflect on our life experiences and what's helping us along the way. I'm Ray.
I'm Marin.
And I'm Leah.
Each episode, we talk about a topic, unscripted and unfiltered. Today, we'll be talking about milestone birthdays. It is officially, I know, right? It's officially Libra season. And we're all Libras, and a couple of us are on cusps. But yeah, I'm kind of like really happy that it's fall. It was just like the first week of fall. It felt like just this past week in Seoul. The tampung, we call it, like the foliage hasn't changed yet. But it's almost there. So I'm wondering for you guys, how do you guys feel like whenever we come into the season of Libra?
Marin, you want to go first?
For some reason, like my social calendar fills up, which is very Libra. For some reason, yeah, like it's just like I'm booked every day doing something. So I enjoy that part of it. And yeah, I just feel the social thing. And it's funny because a lot of the zodiac accounts I followed, they were actually saying that my birthday was the start of Libra. Like normally it's the day after, they say, but I mean, I am a cusper, so who knows? I need more Libra energy in my life.
Yes. I feel now like going to the season, and I don't know, I think it's also fall and knowing like the end of the year is coming and the holidays and whatnot, like makes me feel good, and I want to savor like every day even more, and I feel more present. Whereas I don't get that like in July, August. It's always like, it's so hot. I have to do this thing and this other thing, and I just want to stay at home and do nothing. But similar, Marin, I've started like reaching out to people. I'm like, let's go hang out. Let's go do this. And yeah, I think part of that is just like reprioritizing. How do I want to close out the end of the year? And how do I, like get that cozy feeling now? So I think, yeah, definitely more social in a way that feels good, not like forced.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I was just talking to somebody yesterday about how, like, during the summer, like, I don't leave the house at all. Like, I try to do everything on the computer. I like to stay in my air-conditioned place, because I am a terrible person when I'm hot. Like, it's when it's warm. Um, like, I have really challenging time regulating my emotions to begin with, but when it's hot, like, it's better that we don't like socialize during the summer. So I was just saying, oh, I actually feel a little bit better. Like I have my emotions under control. And I think the temperature has a lot to do with it. So I'm really thankful that I'm a fall birthday person. And so I'm curious, like, what you guys remember about birthday season from when you were younger. Are there any like milestone birthdays or like I don't know, important birthday parties or events that you remember from the past that stand out?
Yeah, I mean, I always had princess birthdays growing up. I had like Barbie birthdays, and it's funny because it's all coming back around. Like now Barbie's so popular again. And my mom would often like organize activities and games and like arts and crafts there. So they were always fun and like wholesome. It would either be at like my house or at the park or something like that. As I got older, it would be like we do, well, I guess the Sweet 16 is kind of one of the milestones. So we did like a sweet, like SUITE Sweet 16, where
Oh,
my mom,
nice.
they rented us some hotel rooms, and that was fun. And then the 21st birthday, like we did a family and friends dinner, and then I got totally blackout drunk that night at a club. That was really dangerous, but fun from what I could remember.
Yeah. What about you, Leah?
Growing up, Mary, did you have a Little Mermaid birthday? Because I did.
That was I wish I did.
I'm surprised. Okay.
I know.
Yeah. I had a Little Mermaid birthday. That was the one that stands out. When I turned 18, this was when we started college. I remember my parents had a cake, like they did like brew and cakes or whatever, like delivered to me.
Mhm.
And when I turned 21, I went with my roommate at the time to Ralph's to get carded for the first time. And I bought Kahlua.
Nice.
Uh, and then,
Classy.
and I can't remember which birthday it was. I'm trying to think. I think it might have been my 25th. It must have been late. I don't know what it was. It felt like a milestone birthday. I did a scavenger hunt in San Francisco with a bunch of friends. And the theme was, gosh, this is gonna sound awkward. It was like, um, it was around horns, something around being horny. I don't know how this came about, but everyone had to dress in costume. Like Kevin was a deviled egg food cake. Oh no, this must have been like in our 30s. Yeah, 29, 30. I don't know. I was dressed as a devil's food cake. We had a couple with vuvuzelas, like horns, that they blast at soccer games. We had, yeah, a bunch of like clowns with horns, like just random people with like different horn stuff. And then we did random things around the city, like starting dance parties in the middle of like a crosswalk. So that was super memorable. And then, okay, my actual 30th birthday was a costume party, superhero party. Yeah. And that's when I announced I was pregnant. So, yeah, definitely like really big for like milestone parties and coming up with themes. At least I have in the past. And I know we're getting to the present soon. I think this is like the birthday I felt the most stuck on, like what to do. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
For me, like I don't know why. Uh, Maybe it was like my family or my culture, but we didn't really put a huge emphasis on birthdays. Um, like my mother's philosophy was always like you have to thank your parents or you have to thank your mom for like because they're the ones who did all the work to get you into the world. Um, and so that was kind of the mindset that was, I guess, passed down to me. But also, I remember, I think my mother did know, like, I'm American and birthdays is an important thing amongst friends and things like that. So she made an effort, like, I think when I was very young, like 7 or 8, I think she threw me like an ice skating birthday party and invited like the entire class or something along those lines. Um, and and then I think like one time my aunt was visiting, she was staying with us for a couple of years, and like she had like a free uh hotel suite night stay or something along those lines. So she had um for my birthday, she had all my friends come over and we had like a sleepover at a hotel. And so I think, it wasn't really which milestone birthday it was. Like the number wasn't important. It was just when they could afford it or when there was like an opportunity and they felt like, this is something that we could do for for her, that it happened. And so I was like going through, because I knew we were going to talk about this today, I was going through like some of my calendar events and I was like, well, what did I do for celebrations, And I remember the 21st birthday, like my mother actually drove up with my stepfather to the Bay Area, and they got me super drunk.
Nice.
And yeah. And so I remember like we went to like a Japanese restaurant and then we just had a lot of alcohol, like clear alcohol. And um my mother had made me like this skirt and like a shawl combination, like she sewed it for me. And so that felt pretty special. But mostly I think um it was like a time for reflection. So kind of like what you were saying earlier, Leah, like, it's kind of towards the end of the year, like very reflective. How are you like meaningfully spending your life? So like as you bring up the present, like I know I turned 40 last year, and so my husband took our family to Gangwon-do, which is like the east side of South Korea, and it's like a really beautiful like mountain meets ocean kind of area. And so we went there for several days, and so that felt really memorable because our daughter was 2, and we were in this beautiful place. Um, but yeah, I'm wondering, like, for you guys now that we're in the present, Marin, you just turned 40. Congratulations. And Leah,
Woo.
you're not too many days behind.
No, many days, many. I'm just kidding. 2 weeks.
So I'm wondering, like, the big 40 kind of has like a certain, I don't know, connotation in our society. And I'm wondering how you guys are interacting with that new identity.
Yeah,
Marin,
Marin.
do you want to go first?
I'm not really interacting much with it. I think I'm in denial still.
Hmm.
It definitely takes a turn. Like I feel like the birthdays leading up to 40 were kind of like a wash. Like you're like sometimes I wouldn't even remember what age I was. But yeah, I mean it was bittersweet for me losing my mom and not having her for this birthday. So I felt yeah, like I felt that pressure. Oh, I should do something. I should party or whatever, but I've kind of been feeling like honestly like the grief for me comes up more at night, and then like drinking it can bring it, it's kind of unpredictable. And so I ended up just doing like a really low key thing on the day of my birthday. We ended up just going to the botanical gardens and going to a Thai restaurant. So I tried to just do what I felt in the moment and trying not to think like, oh, I really have to go all out because like honestly it felt more like a burden to me
Yeah.
at this time. But I've been able to celebrate like one-on-one with my girlfriends and do things, so that's felt kind of more right for me, I guess, in this season. But yeah, maybe 41 I'll plan a big birthday.
There you go.
Yeah, it is surreal though. There's something about it, like I thought it wouldn't hit me at all, but just hearing it, it's like a little bit like but I know a lot of women say that as you get older, it's like you come into your power more. So 40s and 50s, some people say it's like the best years. You
Hmm.
can tell us, Ray, how it is
Yeah.
on how it's been after.
Well, I'm curious with Leah, like, it's leading up to your 40th. So I'm wondering how
Oh,
you're feeling right now.
yeah, well, I'm taking some inspiration from Marin. So I took a couple days off of work and like I hit up some mom friends because every month we have this tradition now of like going on a walk and then like grabbing coffee. So I want to do like more of a brunch thing with them. And I was trying to, yeah, like be intentional, like who do I want to spend time with and what do I want to do? And then I gave a poll to my kids since they've never celebrated a milestone birthday with me, and they're like hot pot, fondue. I'm like, sounds great, all of those things. And then we might go to Santa Cruz. So like do something like to get out of just the monotony of things while making it manageable. Because that's what I struggled with. I think I texted both of you last month, like I want to do a big party, or I feel like I should. And also,
Yeah.
it's like a lot of work. Like, I don't want to. And, like, and then, my husband's asking, like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Nothing feels right, And usually I like trust in my intuition for these things. And this year I'm just drawing a blank. So I don't know. This has been the weirdest, like, year for me, or like, time to celebrate my birthday. Cause usually I know what I want. But this year, not only this, but like many things in life, I've been very like unclear. So it's been frustrating in a way. And maybe it's that. Maybe it's like the expectations of turning 40 and what I thought my life would be like, and what, trying to come to terms with like, oh no, I'm 40. I only started to notice white hairs like a few months ago, and that freaked me out because usually I'm good at like getting my hair colored anyway. So yeah, I hate white hairs. Um, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
so we'll see, but I think that's kind of how it's panning out. I'm doing a massage for one of the days. I'm taking a day off, then spending time with folks I know while the kids are in school. I have some like crafts and stuff like I might dabble in. Um, but really trying to keep it low key and kind of, yeah, like family oriented, but not doing anything that would feel stressful is kind of
Mhm.
where I'm landing. But I don't know. Who knows? Tomorrow I might wake up and be inspired. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I know, Leah, that you have hypothyroidism because I know I do. And one of the signs is like a premature, like graying of hair. And
Is it? Is it
my
premature?
hair started to
Yes.
gray. So my
Oh,
hair started to gray when I was in my 20s.
I just never
And
noticed.
so,
Did you ever color your hair though, like to try and hide it, or no? You just rolled with it.
well, so I have a very different, I think, relationship with age, because when I was younger, like I don't know, as young as like 16 or even 18, I couldn't wait to be 35. And
Ugh.
don't ask me why the number 35, but I think
Well, you
at the
know that's the
time,
woman's sexual prime. Maybe that's why.
is that what it
It's a
is?
Scorpio
I
in
don't
you.
know if it, I thought I heard, yeah, like boys is, or like men, it's like 19. It's really young. And for women, it's 35.
Oh,
Interesting.
interesting. I thought it was a little bit later, like 40 something. But maybe
Mm.
you're right. I don't know.
Maybe it's been
Um
updated. Yeah, I don't know.
But I was thinking, like, when I was younger, like, I was looking up to all of the people who I kind of wanted to be like, or like my role models. And they were all like 35, 36, 37. And so, like, they all seemed to have their life together. They all seemed to know what their goals were. They all had their priorities straight. They were doing important things in the world. They were making a difference in their communities. They were saving people, they were helping people. So I was like, yes, I want to be 35. So everything between now and 35, I just got to endure. But that's when my life is going to begin. Um, and so, like, when I turned 40, I was really excited. I was like, okay, because I don't know if you guys know, like, Guardians of the Galaxy, but like the secret of the universe, like, is the number 42. And like, there are a lot of there are lots of people who say, and some people in the spiritual realm, and some people in like the philosophy realm, and wherever else, humanities, that they say that people actually don't know what their life really is about until they're 42, like between 40 and 42. And that's like everything before then is an experiment. And then once you're 41, 42, 40, like that age, that's when you know like what you're going to dunk your life into, like what your mission is going to be. And so when I turned 40, with like a full head of gray hair, I was like, okay, this is when my life is really starting. And I think that's when I made more of a conscious decision to be like, okay, what am I going to do? And what am I going to dedicate the rest of my life to doing? And, my special interest has always been in education. So I was like, okay, well, how can I actually make a meaningful impact in that field? So I'm on my way. I'm nowhere near like where I want to be, but it's a climb. So I'm curious, like for you guys, before we go further on birthdays, like what do you think it is about society? What do you think it is about, like, how women are, like, the messaging that we receive as women, um, or whatever else that we feel like we need to be ashamed of or dislike aging?
Well, not women related, but when you said like your role models are very much, yeah, like hit the ground running at 35. No, I would like in the tech world, it's about like 30 under 30. It's about how
Mm,
much you've accomplished, what you've started in your garage. Like you ditched college to start your own companies and become billionaires. Like,
that's
so
true.
that's what I was surrounded with. And yeah, when I hit 30, I was already sad. I'm like, well, I'm never going to make that list. But
Yeah,
no.
I guess we're looking in the wrong direction because I feel that way too. Because I'm in the art community and I feel like there's so many young artists and they're on YouTubers and stuff, and they're so young and they're so
Mm,
successful. And so in some ways I feel behind, but right,
mm,
like you're the voice of reason and wisdom. I think
Yeah.
we have to like flip our mindset a little bit about that.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's like everything's a double-edged sword. So of course, like starting to maybe see signs of aging, like Leah's saying, with the hair color or fine lines or whatever you're experiencing. I mean, obviously society tells you, like, I think I started just getting ads for like Botox and all these different
Mm.
things, even more so as soon as I turned 40.
No.
I know. Um, so obviously there's that outside pressure, but then I know, like on our beauty episode, we talked a lot about how uncomfortable that type of attention made all of us and how we kind of
Mm.
wanted to fly under the radar a little bit. So I feel like there is some power and freedom in, like, as we age out of, kind of like the objectification of like
Yeah.
youth and beauty and everything. And it's more like I feel more free and like, I'm not dressing for the male gaze or anything. I'm wearing whatever I want to wear, like, so yeah, I think maybe leaning more into that side. What about
Yeah,
you,
that
Ray?
makes sense.
How's your like
So,
emotional journey been?
so, um, so my husband, every time he gets a white hair, he freaks out. And like, I am somebody who has always loved my white hair, like to the point where I almost dyed it completely gray. Um, because
That's
I
what the
was
young
like,
people are doing. They
Oh
have
my
like silver
gosh,
hair.
no.
I love the silver hair, like, and for me, like, it just keeps amounting. Like,
You're like, yay.
it just keeps getting more gray. And at one point, like, because it's not a good sign of health, right? Like having white hair is kind of like, your cells are exhausted. And so like, your body is requiring so much energy and like giving that energy to like different organs that it doesn't have enough energy to give to like the peripheral things, right? So having white hair means like your body is working overtime to bring you the health in the places that are actually necessary, and that you don't have any extra energy to go to the nails and the hair. And so it's not really essentially a good sign of health to have like brittle nails or have like white hair. But aesthetically, I really like it because I really like black and white photography. Like I'm a very like black and white person. I like, the grays, the dynamic range. So aesthetically and on brand, like it fits me, I
It's
think.
your brand.
Um, yeah, it totally is. Like I love the black and white and the grays. And so there's always that part too. Like I've also never fit the standard of beauty like ever, either in Korea or in LA or wherever in the States. And so like I've never felt like for you, Marin, like you were a model, like, I remember you were telling us like these boys would just tell you to come over because they need eye candy.
Oh God.
Like I know, right? Like you always fit that standard. Like you were always like desired in that kind of way. And so it makes sense that like you would kind of have this negative reaction towards aging. Because I think society says, "Oh, once you age, like you're no longer beautiful." But because I've never fit the mold, I've always thought of like people who are not afraid to show their like real skin or show their real like wrinkles or their white hairs. Like, and as a photographer, those are the things that I love to photograph, much to the dismay of some of my subjects. Um, but like those I think are like beautiful in my opinion. And it just shows like that journey. And so I don't know, like, so for me, I'm like, oh, I'm aging. Now, maybe in 10 years, I might have a different, like, different
Um,
connection to this, because I think every decade has its own like journey and connotations and relationships like associated with it. Um, but yeah, I'm wondering like, how do you think you're looking to this decade of your 40s? Like, is there anything you're looking forward to? Is there anything you're not looking forward to? Anything you're thinking about differently in your 40s or as you go into your 40s that is different from your 30s?
I mean, I like Leah, what you were mentioning, it resonated with me. It's a very Libra thing, like for whatever reason. You know how like Ray, you're talking about like how there's not enough energy to get your to make your hair black anymore. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like emotionally or whatever, I am so like burnt out. Like life has been lifing so hard for me. I
Mm,
really feel like I'm such an adult now, and I feel like I have decision like I also don't know what I
mm,
want. Like I've been having that experience a lot more where if someone asks me like if I'm out to eat, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know. I don't
mm,
know. Like just this indecision, and it's kind of being in this weird place where you feel your mortality more. Like, okay, I'm 40, so how much time do I have left? You know, you don't have that
mm,
feeling like I have all the time in the world now. Like for me, thinking about starting a family, I feel a lot of pressure and anxiety around that and even fear. And so, yeah, it's just an interesting place. Like I feel some of that fire under me to go after the things that I want in life now, you know, before it's too late. But then I also just feel kind of like discombobulated, like
mm.
like freaking out, like I don't know. Like I would like how you're saying, Leah, like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe I thought I would have more by now, or you know, it's just like, am I really 40? Because I
Mm.
also feel like with those COVID years, I feel like they shouldn't count. Like I feel like I shouldn't be 40. I feel like I should only be 37.
Let's
Like, you know
knock
what
out a
I
couple
mean?
years. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of just feels like, really? I don't know.
It's yeah, I so here's where I'm at. I don't know if this helps, but like I've started at least this past week trying to shift my focus from like doing to being, like being more intentional about that. I don't know, maybe I got enough like Mind Valley. Have you heard of Mind Valley? Either
Yeah.
of you? Okay. Do you get like ads for it? Because I got a lot and I finally signed up for a class for like energy
Oh,
healing, which is really cool, by the way. I mean, it's a lot of meditation and I fall asleep, but they're like, that's okay because falling asleep means you're using that energy. I'm like, okay, good.
Mm,
but but I've tried to shift to like I had like these projects and these things I want to get by the end of the year. And I was like, well, why am I doing this to myself? And I've started to like find myself learning to stop myself from putting that kind of pressure on myself. Like, so like with projects I had, I was like, oh, I need to do this, but I need to do this. And I was like, why am I doing this to myself? So I was like, okay, I'm going to pause. And what I started to do instead this past week is finish some of the projects that have just been sitting around. So I knocked out like 3 projects. And to me, I feel like that weight lifting of
mm,
trying to do all the things and just like getting the closure and finding and being okay with like that resting space. It doesn't really help me with like the indecisiveness, but I think it's like if I focus less on all the things I haven't done yet and focus more on just being here and trying to.
mm,
So, another thing from that energy healing class is like the more present you are, the more you can expand your current time. So, like, like when you're like in the flow, like you can like really change how time feels. And I've noticed that a lot. Like, I'll think I've gotten a lot done. It's only been an hour. I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. What do I do now? Which is way different from like, oh crap, an hour, like so so I don't know if it's like mindset shifting, but I think the part of the myself that I've started to work on has been more like being at peace with the time I have now for the reasons that like yeah, the 30s I burnt myself out towards the tail end of this. Too much volunteering, too much trying to do all the things. I caught up with an acquaintance who was like, Leah, like I want to be like you. You did all these things. You started this, nonprofit, and you were doing this podcast, and you were doing these I'm like, I don't do that anymore. Like there's a reason, and I just can't. I don't know how I did it in the moment. Like
mm,
it felt very fulfilling, and like I was in the flow. But the moment I broke out of that, then everything felt a lot heavier. And now I'm trying to just accept like where I am now, like it's okay. And it's like I still have goals and I have things I want to do, but I'm like, well, what if I just removed the time limit on that. Like, I want to do so much by the time I'm 45. I'm like, but will I be okay if I don't? And I want to be okay with the answer that, like, yeah, like, I mean, my life is good now. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. So I don't know.
No, I that totally resonates with me. Um, and I have recently been talking, well, so when I talk to people who I haven't connected with in a long time, some of the comments that they make are like, "Oh, you're still doing a lot." Right? It's like, "Oh, you're still always occupied with that other thing or some other thing." And it's gotten me into this like contemplative space in my mind where I'm wondering, "Oh, maybe I am doing too much. And maybe that's like I'm not focusing enough on just being, right? I'm emphasizing so much on doing. And I think it's like I can't remember the sociologist. I think it's like Hofstede or something. He has like this thing. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. I can't remember it, which is interesting because I taught it. But he has this like chart of I think it's like some cultures think that they have to do in order to be productive and to be seen as like a contributing member of society. They have to
Hmm.
constantly do. And I think like Korea is one example. And then there are some
US is
cultures
definitely
where
another. I mean, let's be real.
Exactly.
but I think they're like, like the scale. Yeah, I agree. They're on this side of the scale, whereas the other side, it's like, you just be. You have worth just by existing, right? And so definitely, like a lot of the capitalistic societies probably fall on this other side of the spectrum. And so I have just been thinking, like, I've always thought, like, mindset wise, oh, you have to be doing in order to be um, somebody who's considered valuable. But, like, I'm trying to eliminate my internalized capitalism and try to go at least towards the center. Maybe not all the way
Right.
to the other side. I don't know if I can possibly get there. But just to get to homeostasis or like just to the middle, right? To be like, it's okay. If doing makes me happy, that's fine. But if being makes me happy as well, then that's okay too. Um, so it's been a really difficult journey. And I'm wondering, Marin, have you felt any of that, or where are you on that journey?
Yeah, for sure. I resonate with both of you. I mean, I guess in my 20s and 30s, like I always just felt like I have time. I have time.
Mm,
And then just like you both, like I try to do the right thing. I try to work hard. But I think with the loss of my mom and just certain things, like even in my past relationship, like you just think if you work hard, everything's going to work out. And like in my mind, I just thought someday, like maybe when I'm 40, I'll get to this place where I could just coast in life because it all pays off. But we're here and it's not necessarily the case. So that kind of is what, that's what it's making me think about listening to the both of you is just like this productivity thing of like, okay, I'm going to work hard so that I can, enjoy the rewards later. I think
mm,
now I'm very conscious that nothing is guaranteed. Time is not guaranteed
mm,
and your life is happening now and you have to enjoy it. You have to learn to be in the present. So I've definitely been trying to connect more with like my spiritual life and kind of like what Leah was mentioning, just like what really matters, because in the past I would put it off and be like, well, once I do that, then I'll be ready. Right. Like in terms of having kids, I thought, oh, once I do that and this, then I'll
mm.
be ready. Right. I want
Yeah.
to be able to, I want to travel and do all these different things. Like for us, I wanted to make sure we took our honeymoon before we started trying. And I'm just like, no matter how hard you try to control things, like it may not work out. And so you really need to live more out of a heart centered place and like really do that, like not just say it. So, yeah, I think that's where I'm at, is just trying to be a little more present in my life and yeah, like have these big goals and like get started on them now, but then also the small joys and just make sure that I'm enjoying my life right now, like in the process and the messy middle.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know if you guys are tired of me talking about this book, but The Red Helicopter by James Ree. He was in Korea this past week, and I went to go listen to him speak several times. And I feel like his message is really important because he is a person who has been very successful. Um, from every definition, and like especially economics, right? He has made billions of dollars for like people and companies, and he talks about how like we really need to think about what our values are as humans, as a society, because we shouldn't be measuring success by those types of metrics. We should be measuring success by the value of our relationships to each other, by like the comfort level we have, um, the freedom we have from all of these like societal expectations that don't, you know, that don't really give back to us. And so, like, I feel like this message is really important right now, especially like, as we consider the rest of our lives, at this milestone birthday, that like we need to prioritize our well-being. We do need to prioritize our social connections. And like Leah, earlier you were talking about how you're reaching out to friends and asking about, well, how do I, commemorate this birthday? And how we were talking about how Libra season makes us social. So I think we do lean into that. We have to lean into like what makes us happy, and what makes us happy is by being who we are, and making space to just be and not have to rush on to the next thing. Um, so yeah, I should really stop talking about that book, but
No,
I really do
I
love
should
that
read
book
it.
and
I
think
mean, maybe
everybody
if we
should
read,
read it.
maybe if we read
I
it,
know
we'd
we
all
both
bring
need
up
to
the
read
book.
it.
um,
Yes, we should read it.
we should have a book club. There was this
Yes.
other book I did read recently. I'm gonna recommend it. I'll put it in the show notes too. But it's called What's it called? You Only Die Once, and it's called How to Make It to the End with No Regrets. This is part of
Oh
my
wow.
midlife crisis reading. Um,
Hmm.
but you do exercise. Like I think the book was like written very humorous. It's like dark humor, but not really. It's like really
Mm,
hilarious, but also like the sense of urgency, like stop wasting your time, like living on autopilot. And
yeah.
you go through exercises like writing your own obituary, or pretend like you're laying in bed and you're about to die. Like what comes to mind, like on did you live your life okay? What things are on your list of things that you wish you did, right? And some things like, and it's like it's okay to let go of things, like if you had dreams of how you would be now, but those dreams are like you actually don't want them anymore, right? It's okay to like let go of those too, or redefine what those are. So I thought it was really helpful because a lot of it is similar, like measuring your life in values, right? Like when you
Mm,
write your obituary, or you think, what how will people think about me, right? Like when I'm gone, it's always, yeah, like those qualities, like what did you, embody in your life? How did you interact with other people? What kind of legacy is that? And yeah, like without the connections, without hanging out with other people, without being, right? Like you don't want to be known for all the things you just did. Yeah, so I don't know. I thought it was very, yeah. It's like I read your book, but I didn't. So
I'm
yeah,
gonna add it
I
to my
think.
list. I'll add both to my list.
Yeah, no, for sure. Um, I wonder, uh, as we like go into our 40s and um, kind of get settled in the idea of getting older, is there anything you're not looking forward to,
all of
or
it.
anything? Oh, really?
I'm really like scared. Like I'm hanging on to my 30s. Like I don't want to turn 40.
I know.
I don't want to circle the other box that says 40 to whatever, 59. You know, like I'm holding on to my younger age group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's just like a lot of challenges that come in the second half of life that I'm getting a taste of. And
Mm.
so I know we've talked about it on this podcast. I talk about it with my husband, is just like, yeah, like I definitely look back and I'm like that carefree, version of myself. Like I wish I was still that way, but just having to evolve, like for me, I think it's just like my evolution, like trying to focus more on my spiritual life, trying to focus more on my relationships and the things that really matter, and like just let go of the rest, because I feel that like the second half of my life is going to require a lot more of me, or like in different ways than everything leading up to this moment did. Um, and so, yeah, that's where I'm at. It's like for me, it's like a little bit of a, I think after you go through something as life changing as losing a parent, it's almost like you have a different identity before and after. And so I think I'm kind of trying to, learn who I am again. And I feel like that may just keep happening, as we age and we go through different experiences. So I think it's just being more flexible and being able to evolve, and maybe not be so sure of, who I am, and feel like so in control of like, here's my plan, right? It's just, yeah, it's all up in the air for me, but I think I'm like a stronger person now than I was.
That's a good point. Yeah. I want to feel more like myself too. I like how you put that. Like, you need more energy now, going into this. Like the decisions I feel like are more not heavy, but yeah, you can't waste your time on things that you're just like, okay, I guess I'll do this. It's like, no, like you either are all in or you're not. And if you're not, then why do it, Anyway, Ray, what were you going to say?
Oh, no, I was going to say, is there anything you are looking forward to?
If what they say about the 40s is true, right, that you are more of yourself, you're more confident. It probably is this. It probably is the whole like losing patience for things that you used to tolerate. Because yeah, part of it is maybe more of that freedom. Like you don't have to worry about how people look at you, I think is part of it. And then the second part is, yeah, this more focus on being, on like finding more of who you are, making decisions from that place. And yeah, hopefully caring less and less about what others people think. Because I know we said that, we're already in that place now, but I'd be curious to see like how going deeper into that feels like. And like if we were fully like living that, like being true to ourselves in terms of like really like 0% people pleasing, 0%, like just trying to conform or whatever, like lower our voice because whatever reasons, like being able to apply that same self in like the situations that we're really strong at to like all situations. So maybe it's that, like I'm curious like how this decade will change all of us.
Yeah. What about you, Maren?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo that too. I feel like the first half, like there is a lot of laboring for other people and doing what you're expected to do and doing things because you think they're going to have that future payoff. And now being at this age, it's like, no, like now it's time for us, and it's time to live out what we think is meaningful and purposeful, and, just spend time with the people that we really love and that love and respect us. Um, and just knowing that we don't have unlimited time and energy. And so that we really do have to prioritize what really matters. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it too. I hope I'm like way more badass version of myself in the
Yes.
next couple decades.
We're going to do a birthday episode every year and see reflect on what's changed.
Yeah.
Oh
What about
yeah.
you, Ray?
Yeah, right.
I think yeah, I think like one thing that is sticking out to me is I, I've been going through that evolution of like the masking to unmasking personality, and embracing my Scorpio side versus my Libra side, and like letting go of like the people pleasing, and actually not afraid to say what I'm actually thinking rather than saying what I'm supposed to say or what people want me to say. I'm starting to liberate myself, from like the burden, the weight that society has given to me as an Asian woman, um, who is also neurodivergent. And so I just am looking forward to blue sky, right? I'm looking forward to like this idea of flying free, um, from Red Helicopter, by the way. And just
Okay.
like, being able uh, to just sort of do what I feel like I was placed on this earth to do. Um, and like Marin said, like, I don't know how many years I have left, like uh, 20 if I'm lucky. Um, but like I would be really just thankful for 10 more years, like 10 more years of just this type of clear thinking, of being able to achieve certain things that I want to do, but also to prioritize my family and my friends, because I don't think I really did that in the past. So as I let go of some of these expectations of society, I wish I can pour some of my energy back into my family and friends.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking forward to doing in my 40s. And hopefully, I have the luck and support to do that from the universe. So, yeah. I don't know if like this episode went in the direction that we thought it was going to go. Um, but I'm wondering if there's any advice that you want to give to either your younger self, as you look back on these 40 years, or if there's anything that you would want to share with the next generation of people uh, looking forward, either in their 30s or in their 20s.
Marin, you want to go first?
We are at this age where whatever they call it, middle age, right? And
Ew,
so,
no, no.
well, maybe
Sorry.
not,
I
maybe
don't
not,
know.
but it is somewhat of like I don't know what you want to call it. We'll
Well,
rebrand
most
it.
people live till like they're 80 something, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
85. So, yeah, this is mid age, middle life,
Late stage, early. I
like
can't.
early middle life.
Yes, early middle.
Yeah.
Can we add early?
I mean, I guess like just how we started this podcast and we talked about, oh yeah, we're at this unique age where we can look back on our youth and we can kind of like learn those lessons and then look forward and be more intentional. I think for me, it's like just finding more acceptance for myself because, obviously hindsight is 2020. So when I look back, I'm like, why did I waste my time with that relationship? Or why did I spend so much time in that dead end job? Like knowing what I know now, but I think I'm just trying to find more peace and acceptance with like that's my journey and it's
Mm,
not perfect and we're not meant to go through life like
mm,
so efficiently and perfectly and just be well adjusted, and evolved. Like part of the journey of life is learning and being messy and making mistakes, right? So I think that's what I would like tell my younger self is like it's okay. Like you don't know what you're doing and that's okay. That's kind of what you're meant to be doing is like trying to figure things out and I still feel that way, in some respects. And so I don't fully trust my journey, but that's what I'm aspiring to do even now is to just have trust and faith in my journey and knowing that it's my journey, and not compare myself to other people, or even, ideas of, oh, by this milestone, I should have X, Y, and Z. So I think just practicing that, yeah, self-acceptance and compassion and appreciation for my life as it's unfolding.
Yeah. What about you, Leah? That's beautiful, Marin.
Yeah, I love what you said, Marin. I think same. I think it's the like my past self, right? I don't regret any of the things I did. I think it all adds up to who I am now. I got the experiences that helped me, right? Either like knowing what not to do or knowing what I enjoy. And I think it is like amplifying that knowledge to yeah, like be more of myself while removing the pressure of feeling like I'm trying to be like this best self. Like I mean, it's
Mm.
like how do I live for myself now? How do I like really deeply enjoy, right, the experiences that I'm going through now?
Mm.
um and and yeah, like you said, appreciate it, right? Because I mean, like in the grand scheme of things, I mean, we're still like relatively healthy. Like I've seen my mom go to so many doctor's appointments and like go through like these like cataract surgeries and stuff, and like I mean, we're not there yet, and like there's so many things that you know we can do, and I think it's just figuring out like, yeah, if we had all the things, if it was blue sky, like what are the things I want, like I really, really genuinely want to do, right? Like for if you all have bucket lists, like what are some of those things you want to start doing now? Or do they need to get off the bucket list, right? I think that's kind of
Yeah.
what I'm reckoning with is like which goals are still really my goals and which ones were things that I thought, yeah, when I was younger that I would be at in my 40s, but really don't serve me. So I think it's a lot of that. Like a good I think a milestone birthday is good for like that really, really like deep reflection. So yeah, I think it's good to once again purge the dreams that are no longer or evolve like what those could be.
Yeah. I think for me, I spent so much of my life, well, it gets tricky because I didn't always live my life this way. At a certain point, I was very intuitive and I just did what I wanted to do, like creatively. But there was a point in time where where I thought, oh, that's not enough. I have to be more. I have to do more. And I made myself so anxious and spiraled out of control trying to do more and be more. Um, and so I'm trying to go back to that place of operating from what brings me joy, what am I curious about, and just not focusing too much on, well, how does this become a narrative? Like, how does this define my legacy, right? Rather than thinking so much about that, I think I'm now trying to say, okay, the legacy stuff doesn't matter. That's all ego. Like, just do what I can do that day the best. And maybe that'll lead up to something bigger, better. But maybe that's not up to me to decide. So I don't know. I don't really have advice for my younger self or to other people other than maybe just a question like, do I really have to do more? Do I really have to be more? And if I do feel compelled to be that way or to do that, why? Um, and to really know what's driving that, I think might be important to unpack either with a trained therapist or, reflectively in your own journaling. But yeah, is there anything that you think we didn't cover that you want to share before?
Happy birthday to all of us.
I know, happy Libra season.
Libra season. Live it up.
Yeah, and I don't
Yeah.
think the 40s are as scary as people think. Because I remember when I was younger, like I would think, oh, like 30 seems old, at certain points. Like it's just
True.
all relative. And I do think that being 40 today maybe looks different than it did in previous generations. So, we're still us. Like nothing
Yeah.
has like really changed. We're still just evolving, and yeah, don't be afraid of the number.
Yes.
Awesome.
I have to tell myself that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just a self-talk, pep talk to myself.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, if you haven't already, please follow us at Your Asian Besties on all social media and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Oh man, I'm sorry if that did not